Friends, are you ready for our weekly Lenormand reading? Today is December 30th. It's Tuesday, and I'm sorry I haven't done a reading in a couple weeks. I've just been extremely busy. So, but let's see what Spirit has for us this week. Okay, first card out. Ready? The home. The home. That is your close-knit groups, your family, could be your work environment too. But on an energetic note, it would be the masculine, okay? So that would be like, if we were talking about parents, it would be the father role, okay? The bear is the feminine energy, the mother. But the partnerships within the family is indicated here with the fox, and it could be that there is a little bit of a trickster energy there, but it's also creative in nature. So if you can use your creativity and your ingenuity and your craftiness, you can probably work through whatever it is that you're working through. Okay, it could be home repairs, it could be family squabbles, it could be something, maybe even, because I have an official card in there, which is the Tower. Something very official that is mounting kind of a feel. But the flowers are there, so I feel like, your creativity, your knowledge, because the book is also there too, can really overcome the challenges that you're faced with. You just have to use your ingenuity and your intelligence and your craftiness and all of those things. Okay, I get that clever feeling though, but the Tower and the fox on a career would be like an advisor. Okay, and then we also maybe how everybody in the close-knit circle, everybody kind of does what they do best, right? There's your the one that maybe keeps the home up, like housekeeping, but then there's the house repairers, how there's inside jobs and outside jobs. Everybody just kind of does what they do best, right? Not that it's men's work or women's work. It's just that we do what we are capable of and that we do best, right? Like, I know it's nice when the gentleman helps out the lady with all of her duties, whether it's shopping or cooking and cleaning and that sort of thing. But when a man goes to work and then he comes home, I know he's tired, right? So as long as everybody's kind of doing their part and the best that they can, and nobody is taking advantage of the other, I think everything kind of runs smoothly there. Okay, that's just the first portrait, but all of these thoughts come to my mind. There's lots to talk about in this particular portrait. If it's relationships, work related, and work, relationships, and something official. I don't know what that could be. Maybe all three. All right. So the next portrait out is the tree. Is the first card. The tree is that healing energy. It's growth. But slow growth, right? Trees are they're there for the longevity. And they're deep rooted, right? So any how deep you can go is how high you can climb, kind of a feel. So just know that anything worth having is worth working for. The lilies are there. The lilies is your lifestyle. The lilies are also virtue, and it's kindness, and it's I don't know, it just has all of those qualities of longevity, but wisdom and all of those are also in that mix. Now the cross is there. The cross, that can be your responsibilities, the things that you must do, things that are of importance, and just maybe make a list and prioritize. Don't take the easy path. You have to make the list of all the things that are of importance, okay? The dog is in the center. That would be your close family, your close friends, even your pets. And then the scythe. The scythe would be, like an uprooting feel, but it is also, cleaning house, or, taking care of. You have to remove the things so that more growth is possible. So I feel like this portrait is kind of letting you know that you need to remove the annoyances, the disturbances, the dis-ease, so that there's room for growth, okay? I kind of feel like a little decluttering is probably recommended, so that, you can start fresh, okay? We've got the letter in the stork. That's kind of like, you're making progress, and it's, I just feel like communication is the key. So, you really need to keep focusing on your, on the goal, keep your eye on the prize kind of a feel. Don't give up your integrities or your values or your morals. Don't let those little things trigger you, because that is kind of what brings out, those, the dis-ease feel, right? But those triggers are there for a reason as well, because those are the things that you need to correct, right? So, like, if somebody says something to you and you get upset, there's something within you that needs to be addressed. And the sooner you confront that, the faster you'll heal, okay? All right, next portrait out, the stars. Oh, that's your healing energy. It's also kind of a wish fulfillment card. And yeah, I feel a little bit of hard work paying off feel, because we've got the whip and the sun. That is your hard work paying off. The crossroads is a decision that needs to be made, a path that you need to take, and choose wisely. I do see big love here, and I do see a little bit of a heartbreak though. So, that's kind of, part of life, the things that you wouldn't have a heartbreak if you didn't have the love, right? So they kind of go hand in hand with one another. You can't have one without the other sometimes. But it's speaking of like a passion, right? In order to, people who get upset, it's because they have a passionate way of them. And if you've ever dealt with somebody that doesn't show a lot of emotion, they don't let things bother them, it's because they have kind of lost the passion, right? Which, that's, some people are just born that way, they don't get their feathers ruffled, and I've always admired that feature. My grandfather and my dad kind of had that, they didn't waver too much, but not that they weren't passionate, but they didn't let their emotions overtake them, right? I know it's a constant battle for me. I do see a positive resolution here, and I see a windy road, right? And at the end of the road is the treasure kind of feel, okay? Or it could be just the end of the road, and the conclusion has taken place, which, I kind of feel like that's, the year's coming to an end. And we still have New Year's Eve, we still have New Year's Day. So, out with the old and with the new, let's make our, the full moon's coming. I would release anything that doesn't serve you. And then when the new moon comes, state your intentions, okay? The last portrait is the moon. The moon is that softer energy. It's, it's the feminine energy, the yin-yang energy. And I feel like it offers clarity, but it's also indicates a new phase, okay? There is the rider in the upper left-hand corner. I couldn't make this up. We are coming into the year of the horse in the Chinese zodiac. And I do see blessings there with the clover and the garden and your shared spaces. But the final outcome are the clouds. The clouds are psychological. They are your thoughts, the thoughts that you think will be brought into reality. So be careful what you bring into the next new year. I want you to think of abundance. I want you to state your intentions. I want you to, you know, release what doesn't serve you, okay? Don't take anything into the new year that doesn't serve you. You know, kind of like think about, you know, what you'd want for the people that you love, okay? Think of all those thoughts. That's what I want you to write down. Those are the things that I want you to focus on for this year, okay? I do see learning coming in, learning this year. Lots to learn. If you're not learning, you're not growing. And I see lots of abundance. The clover on the fish. All right, let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, I see lots of growth. Oh, that's awesome. Partnerships. And a little bit of diplomacy. I do see that we do have worry, concern, fears, and burdens and responsibilities, though. So, yeah, like I said before, you know, you get your priorities in order, but, you know, don't let the what ifs take center stage. You know, unless they're positive ones. But I'm talking on the fear aspect of things, or worry and concern. I mean, fears, I mean, that's a natural emotion, you know, but don't let it consume you, okay? Sometimes you just have to release, surrender, let it go, because otherwise you're rehearsing all of that, and you don't want to do that either, okay? The center card is the heart. I love this. The heart is, you know, your passions, your joy, your inspiration. It is even like creative energy as well. The dog is there, which are your friends, your close family, your pets, and the flowers are there, which is recovery and beauty and springtime energy, you know, but like a renewal of that energy, you know, the renewal. I do see small problems and I do see big problems, so it's kind of, they're right next to each other, which means, you know, you have to handle those small problems before they become big problems. Pay attention to the details. Nothing is insurmountable. Take it one step at a time. Pack your bags kind of feel too, because the coffin is there. But surrender is kind of indicated there. So, you know, it is what it is feeling. You have to release those things that are you know, they when they just don't feel good, you know. You know, like I've mentioned before about using your body as a pendulum. You know, if you tip forward, it's a yes. If you tip back, it's a no. So just pay attention to your vessel, okay? And your thoughts. Monitor that, you know. You know, if you're thinking, when you're thinking, you need to watch the thinker kind of a feel, okay? Watch what your thoughts are, okay? Yeah, I see like, kind of like, you know, tying up loose ends feel, and maybe making your list again, you know, that feeling too, writing, getting your thoughts onto paper, journaling. You know, it's a great opportunity. It's the first of the year, you know, get a journal and start daily making notes, you know, set your intentions, set your goals, you know, and then start marking them off as you accomplish them. What a wonderful feeling, you know, a natural, wonderful feeling. Let's see, what else do I see? Helpful friends, and helpful people. I feel like there's somebody new coming into the mix, okay? Could be, because the child and the lady is there, so it's kind of a younger woman feeling. Not sure what that is meaning there, but that's one of the indicators. But a new offer, okay? Because the ring and the child is there as well. And we might have a little bit of, you know, uncertainties or thoughts, or maybe even a little bit of confusion there. I don't know what that's about, but maybe don't be an overthinker, I know that, but maybe give it some thought, and don't be impulsive. you know, use your wise discernment on whatever that offer is, okay? You know, weigh things out. Let's see what else. And in our knowledge and wisdom, I feel like it would be, you know, travel, expansion. You know, travel, I've said this before, travel does expand the mind. And travel plans are kind of in that mix. So maybe in your journal, you know, you're setting your intentions, you know, maybe book the trip, plan the trip, make a list of all the places you'd like to go. And then in money and prosperity, I feel like there are multiple things that are opening up. So that's kind of a great feeling there. Yeah, I like to see that. Relationships, blessings, a little bit of spiritual protection there. So, you know, I feel like when somebody comes into your life or leaves your life, I think that, you know, it's kind of like, you know, that contract has been fulfilled. Not that it was good or bad, it's just that that's the time there has kind of ran its course. So it's time to, you know, broaden your horizons and move forward. Okay, don't let the energy get stagnant or stuck. Okay, career wise, you know, I feel like it's you know, I feel like a career for the longevity, and it might be a second chance, because the coffin and the clover indicate second chance there. So I'm not sure about that with the relationships, but let's see. And then in family, and because I have a list of my houses here, the family and recognition, you know, I feel like high honors and then growth. So, you know, maybe the ancestry, you know, the ancestors are looking and down and wanting you to become even better than they were. I've said this before, you know, we always want we want better for our you know, our children, and our ancestors wanted better for us. So that is like the circle of life feel to it, okay? And the stars are wish fulfillment, and then the moon is that softer energy, and it's high honors. So you can't deny that, okay? And then in the let's see, with the career focus, I feel like there is I feel like there's a third party situation here. So just know that you know, it takes collaboration, more than one person to kind of pull it all together. Okay, I like to see that though, and the higher perspective is there with the stork and the mountain. So that's lovely. Yeah, I think I've covered all of our bases here. So, you know, I've enjoyed this reading with you. If you would like a more personal reading, please feel free to reach out to me. And until next week, you have a happy new year, and enjoy the time with your family and friends. Much love. Bye-bye.